Welcome back to Growth Lab Sessions. I'm Joao, CEO of Stealth White Label Agency. Today we're exploring creative engineering and how to make those creatives profitable for e-commerce brands. And our guest today is Felix Dragoi. He runs an e-commerce agency and he is known for being able to structure creatives and make them profitable. So if you want to understand how creatives are playing such a huge role in driving conversions for e-commerce brands, make sure that you tune into this class, watch it until the end, and you will for sure leave with so much knowledge and a higher ability to make your creatives convert for your ad campaign. Felix, welcome to Growth Lab Sessions. Are you ready to take it to the lab?
Fully ready.
Fully ready, awesome. We're back with Growth Lab Sessions, Season 2, and this class is class number 3 with Felix Dragoi. We're going to be talking about the margin contributions. We already talked about so many things about creative engineering, how to test the different creatives, and now we're going to talk about margins, because if you don't have margin, you don't make money, right? Especially for e-commerce, you got to make that cash flow. So Felix, take it over.
Let's go. So if you watched the last two classes, you know how to create ads, that you need to test them. But the main thing is, what kind of metrics do you actually need on them? And that's one of the most important things. We'll go here to the third table that we have. And that is showing us examples that should give you an idea of how much you can spend, how much you need to make to actually make money. Because we'll see in some examples here that you can have a free ROAS, you put $1 in, you get free out, and you still don't make money. So let's look at one example. Let's say you have an e-commerce brand. It's already pretty established, and this is where it actually starts to be more important, because the numbers just get bigger. So any small mistake will cost you tens of thousands. So I'll give an example here of, let's say, a standard store that's spending $250K a month. In eCom, it's not necessarily that uncommon. They have a 4 ROAS and they make 1 million. So basically, you put $1 in, you get 4 out, and that's the math here. And the thing in eCom,
if you're an agency owner looking to scale, you definitely want to explore our solutions at Stealth White Label Agency. With 14 years of experience and over 120 niches, we've been helping agency owners not only fulfill for their clients, but also acquire new clients so you can only focus on scale for your agency. If you're interested, definitely DM me, Joao, on my Instagram, or comment below and somebody's gonna reach back to you, back to the podcast.
and this is why many people won't go here, because the profits are not always the best, but you have COGS. So the cost of that actual product. Let's say you sell a yoga mat, you sell it for 100, but it still costs you 30, right? So we'll use a 30% margin here, cost for the COGS. So that would mean that if you sell 1 million, it will cost you 300K for that physical product. So this is actually the gross profit, the 700K, because you deduct the COGS from the sales, but at the same time, let's not forget, you also spend money to acquire customers. So this is where this 1 million starts going down, and this is actually your contribution margin, 450K. And it does seem like a lot of money initially, right? However, what you need to remember is that you also have fixed costs, meaning that you do have a team, you might have an office, and many other things. This is where the software and all of that comes into place. And that could actually be 300K, because if we're talking about a business that's at 1 million in terms of sales a year, the fixed costs might actually be 300K. So that means that what you'll actually have is a profit of 150K. So, Joao, what do you think of this? Like, does this seem like...
I think that sounds very correct for somebody running an e-commerce brand, not to discourage anyone. Um, but then you got to talk about that profit won't go to your pocket because you're gonna have to invest that in cash flow for the next month. And
Yeah,
so, so
don't discourage them even more.
the story gets worse. Okay.
I wouldn't
Um,
discourage them even more.
no, that's it, guys. Go for $1 million a month with e-commerce. But you can
Minimum.
have you can like be changing those margins up, right? Your fixed costs can change. Like that's a lot of fixed cost. And so, but yeah, I think that's super important to go through that exercise. And that's why you really want to get sharp on ROAS, right? Because like ROAS is how you got to what you got to do. Like the higher the ROAS, like the more rich you will be. And also like for e-commerce, you really got to worry about your like LTV and many other things, right? Because we're talking about the cost of acquisition, guys. And cost of acquisition is your cost for acquiring a new customer. Now, when you acquire a new customer, you want to milk that customer, or you want to provide more services and products that enhance their lives in order for them to be happier. And so in result, you won't have to pay for them to come back. You're just going to get them back on offers for them to come from like emails and retention to buy from you, right? Because you want to spend money to acquire a customer, and then you want to be able to increase the LTV on that customer. That's how you're really going to make money in e-commerce. CAC,
Exactly.
cost of acquisition, AOV, average order value, and LTV, lifetime value.
The finance guys definitely love us right now.
Yes.
And I do want to offer here a few scenarios just to better understand how things look like when, for example, you have a lower ROAS. Because if you have a free ROAS at the same 250K in spend, you'll make only 750K. Your COGS will be lower because you did sell less, so it costs you less to actually deliver. Your gross profit will also be lower. However, the contribution margin doesn't look bad. It's 275K. However, if we keep and have the same fixed costs, and the thing is that this can actually be from 1 month to the other. Your ROAS could go down 25% from 4 to 3. And if you have the same fixed costs, you won't actually be making any profit. Like this is the math if you have a free ROAS instead of a 4 at the same spend. So from this, you'll go to minus 25K. And this is what happens when you have big numbers. Any small change, because this is 25%, and 25% doesn't seem a lot at first sight, but it actually is if you look at the total profit.
Oh my God, dude, you just dropped the mic before wrapping up this class.
And I do have two more scenarios here, which we can go over pretty quick, because let's say you have spend lower, meaning that you see that you have a low ROAS, right? So you just panic and you spend less. So you spend 150K, you get a high ROAS, right? Because that was the goal, to spend less so you can actually get your best buyers and so on. You get 600K in sales. The COGS would be around 180K. So it's not that bad. And gross profit would be 420K. So if you actually do the math here, the contribution margin is very close to this one. It's very close, even though you have 4 ROAS. So with the same fixed costs, if you don't actually fix your fixed costs, pun intended, then you'll actually lose 30K. So that is with the 4 ROAS. So this shows just how important it is, like to make sure your fixed costs aren't that high. But when you get to this level, you will have fixed costs that are higher, unfortunately. So these are all the doom and gloomy examples. However, there's one that's better, and that is when you actually spend more. And here's when you actually spend more compared to the first scenario. So instead of 250K, you spend 350K. So 100K more. It's a pretty big chunk of money. And you have a free ROAS, which we know from the past. When we had free ROAS here, it wasn't good. Even with the 4 ROAS here, it wasn't good. But the thing here is that we make 1.05 million, so slightly more than here. We do have COGS, which still cost more actually than in the first scenario because you just have to deliver more product. Then the gross profit. So this is where you have, as you can see here, around 35K more than here. And contribution margin isn't as good as the first one, unfortunately, because you do spend way more on marketing. And let's say the fixed costs are at 300K still. These are basically could be just from month to month, all of these fluctuations here. And you would have a profit of 85K. So basically we can see how many scenarios where, and many business owners, agency owners might not understand this fully, but the ROAS is not the only number that matters. Also not the ad spend, because if you spend more but have a lower ROAS, you can still make money. So this is where you actually have to decide, what do you prefer? Do you prefer spending 250K at 4 ROAS or 350K at 3 ROAS? These are the decisions that you actually need to think of. This is basically monthly, because this could actually be your scenario from month to month. So that's why it's not an easy thing being in eCom. But once you get to these numbers, the competition is also lower. So that is what I would say here. If you have anything you would want to add, Joao.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like, Felix, you're a beast. I think that, like, if I was the one watching it and I care about e-commerce, I'd have so many questions. And if you do have those questions, drop it in the comments, because I will answer it myself, or I will bother Felix to help me answer the questions for you. I think this was like a little bit of a taste into creatives and different margin contributions in terms of like just your general perspective on understanding how to run ads and be profitable in e-commerce that Felix just gave it to us. If you're an e-commerce owner, Felix just showcased a lot of his skills in running ads in a profitable way for your brand. Hit him up so maybe there's a fit for you guys to work together. It's very hard to find agencies that the owner has that level of technical knowledge that he does. And if you're an agency owner and you want to run more profitable ads, maybe Felix is open to doing some consulting for you. Maybe he's not. Hit him up. Regardless, make sure that you're hitting him up or commenting so you can get your questions answered about this like very complex topic that he just talked about. Felix, thank you so much for teaching us on all of these 3 classes about, you know, how can e-commerce, like how can creatives be so impactful in e-commerce these days, and, you know, like either make you money or lose you money. Now, before we leave, where is the best place for people to connect with you?
Probably Instagram. Right
and
away.
What's your handle?
Felix Dragoi.
Felix Dragoi, and it's linked here in the video. You probably see it anywhere in the screen right now. If you don't see it in the screen, make sure that you go to the description of this video, of this podcast, so you can get the details on Felix's handle. I'm at JOWAU, Joao, on Instagram. If you have any questions, hit me up there. And without further ado, and you know, with no further delays here, this is the wrap of our 3 classes on e-commerce. Thank you, Felix, so much for being a part of it. And always thankful for your, you know, friendship and our like ways of working together that we're finding here in the agency owner space. Thank you for everyone watching. If you found value, guys, make sure that you hit that subscribe. Make sure that you give us some love so we can help you out, okay? Well, Felix, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. See you.
Thanks.